Welcome students again, 8th standard science. Today I am going to continue with the lesson pollution. Already you've been learned about two type of pollution, that is water pollution and air pollution. Today in this session we'll be looking forward to what is soil pollution. Before I start what is soil pollution, I hope again your textbook and your notebook and pen is with you so that you can jot down the important points or the markings if I'll give you in the textbook. In your textbook, we are beginning with page number 60, part C of the lesson, that is soil pollution. In the beginning of soil pollution, you can see in your textbook there are two questions being asked. The first one is what is meant by soil erosion. Now about soil erosion, I'm sure you have already learned what is soil erosion in your previous classes, that is in your 6th standard and 7th standard. Soil erosion is withering away of the soil by some natural and sometimes man-made agents also, like water and wind. Losing of the soil is called as soil erosion due to agents like water, wind, rodents, and sometimes grazing of the animal. The second question is what are the reasons for depletion in soil fertility? Depletion means decrease. What are the reasons for the decrease in soil fertility? What is soil fertility? You know that soil is the main source through which vegetation is being grown on the land. Out of the total land area on the earth, if you go to see, some area is covered by ice, some area are desert, whereas some is occupied by mountains and plateau and hilly region. Very less areas on the earth are plain region where you find soil, where you can do agricultural activities, vegetation can be grown, and this area is the area which comes under human use. So that is why the soil, if you go to see, is of utmost important for the survival of the living organisms on the earth. So when it is important, it is essential for us to take care of these resources, to maintain them so that we can use it in future also. Now, the topic that we are going to start today is soil pollution. I have given here two pictures in the beginning of my presentation. You can see these two pictures. The first picture, what you see over here, is of the fertile soil, and the second one is the barren land. Now here when you can see the fertile soil, you can see flowers grown, vegetation is there, some butterflies are there. It's a perfect example of a good balanced ecosystem. You must be knowing what is an ecosystem. An ecosystem is an interdependency of biotic and abiotic factors both. But if you take a notice over here on the barren land, here you can see mostly all the abiotic factors are there. The biotic factors is missing. There's no vegetation. When there's no vegetation, there are no other living creatures like the butterflies, the birds, or human beings. You don't see them around. So there is less interaction of the biotic and abiotic factors, sorry, which again distress the balance of the ecosystem or the balance of the environment. So that's how we see that soil is very important for human use, for human life to sustain on the earth. So, what is soil pollution? In this slide, you can read the perfect definition of what is soil pollution. Soil is said to be polluted when there are changes in its physical, biological, and chemical properties, and its fertility decreases due to either natural or man-made reason. So soil is said to be polluted when there are changes in its physical, that is in its form, biological. Now biological and chemical properties means soil, if you see, if you understand properly, is not only mud particles or the breaking of the stone particles. Inside the soil, there are various nutrients, there are various vitamins, there are various elements which are mixed up in the soil. And this you can get a very good example if I tell you that you see the soil of different colors. The soil come in different color and different textures. For example, if you compare the soil of Konkan region, it will be red in color because it is the content of iron element in that soil is high. Whereas if you see the soil of Bangladesh, of Kerala, you see that that is rich alluvial soil which is black in color. Whereas the other soil, if you go to see, it's brown in color. So this color difference, the texture difference of the soil is because of the chemical and biological content of the different element, content of the different minerals inside the soil, which also gives the soil its fertility and it suits the climatic condition of that particular region for the growth of vegetation. So it is said to be polluted if there are changes in its biological, chemical and physical form, and also if the fertility decreases due to either natural or man-made reason. Now, natural reason, already we have discussed about soil erosion. What is soil erosion? So those can be some of the natural reason of the loss of soil by wind, water, grazing of the animal. When the soil loosens up, then it gets carried away by the air and wind. Man-made reason. Now, which are the man-made reasons of soil pollution? There are three main man-made reasons of soil pollution. That is, causes of soil pollution: agricultural waste, biological waste, and domestic waste. Now, domestic waste, I have not put any picture of domestic waste over here because it's easy to understand what are domestic waste. Domestic waste is usually nothing else but your kitchen waste, the waste that is collected in the kitchen, the wet waste that is collected in the kitchen. So, in that waste, if that waste also is collected in a particular area, which is, you say, a dumping ground, and if the waste is not disposed properly in proper time, what happens is the waste over there gets degraded, start getting decomposed, and sometime if it gets spoiled, the water, the dirty water or the infected water sometime gets start leaching inside the soil and make the soil over there in that area, in that particular area, in that region, polluted. Now here you can see the agricultural waste. Sometime what happens is, you know that the farmers, they use a lot of pesticides and insecticide to save their crops from the insects and the pests so that the crops do not get spoiled. Okay, if these pesticides and insecticide goes and mixes up with the soil, again contamination of the soil takes place, which again leads to soil pollution. Then if these kind of waste of the agriculture is dumped nearby any area, again what happens is, if it start decomposing, spoiling, not properly disposed on proper time, again contamination of soil takes place and again the soil gets polluted. The next picture over here you can see is of the biological waste. Now you can see over here, biological waste is the waste which is collected from mainly the clinical centers, the hospitals. Okay, now these waste, you can understand how dangerous and how infectious these waste are. So even if these waste are not properly disposed and left here and there, it might go and mix up with the constituent of the soil, thus degrading or say affecting the fertility of the soil, affecting the natural chemical properties of the soil. So these waste should be properly disposed and should be disposed on time so that it do not degrade or it do not contaminate the soil on the dumping ground area or the area nearby of such dumping ground. So these three are the main causes of soil pollution. Now in your textbook in page number 30, you can see there they have given one question, give 5 example of each waste. For example, what are five example of domestic waste? So domestic waste can be anything, leftover bread, your vegetable peels, fruit peels. You can give in your own words. Then you have biological waste. Biological waste over here you can see syringes, used syringes are there, mask, bandages, okay, infected tubes. All these can be some example of biological waste. And agricultural waste like rotten fruits, rotten vegetables, which are there. Then leftover pesticide, insecticide. Also, the fertilizers which is being sprayed on the soil sometimes plays an important role to contaminate the soil. Contaminate the soil. You can see this, you know that these fertilizers are actually the main constituent of these fertilizer is urea, and urea is made up of nitrogen and a lot of salt is there present in it. So when the lot of fertilizer is sprayed, actually farmers spray this fertilizer so that more and more crops can be grown, but for a limited period of time, because after some time, because of the more amount of salt, the soil over there becomes. I'm so sorry, some distraction is there. So you can, I'm sorry students, we'll just continue. I was talking about fertilizers. So fertilizers, because the soil content is more in fertilizer, the soil content then becomes more in the soil, and then the soil becomes waterlogged, it gets contaminated, and soil pollution takes place. So these are some of the man-made causes of soil pollution. The next part in your textbook is to discuss with the issues of dry waste, wet waste. Okay, I think we have many sessions which are taken in our school to explain to you what are dry waste and what is wet waste, and by now we all understand the difference between dry waste and wet waste. Dry waste are, we say that they are non-degradable substances, and wet waste are degradable substances. Now, what are degradable substances? The one which perishes, the one which decompose, and after some time becomes little and vanishes because of the action of certain microorganism. Whereas non biodegradable substances are waste which do not decompose and they lie on the land or at a particular area for for number of years, and they do not decompose on their own. They do not decompose by any other microorganism. For example, plastic is there, thermocol. So these waste become a major issue, a major concern of where to dispose it. They occupy a good amount of land which can be utilized for farming, which can be utilized for agriculture or some other good purpose, but it just turn out to be a dumping area for these waste. Then it is also mentioned to discuss about the toilet in each home. So by the grace of God, all of us are privileged that we have toilets in home. If not, we should take step toward Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, and these are the basic necessities which all of us should try to implement as soon as possible. Now let us come to effects of pollution. What are the effects directly, indirectly of soil pollution to us and to the other living creature on the earth? The very first effect, if you go to see, soil fertility decreases due to mixing of salty and acidic water from various industries. Now, industries also play a major role in polluting the soil. Why? Because the affluents and the sewage water that is coming out of these factories. Now, you can see in this picture over here, the water which is coming out of the factories are sometimes just led into the water like this without treatment. Okay, now what is without treatment? The effluents or the sewage or the waste water that the factories are having, that they collect, they should treat that waste water first, remove all the harmful elements, all the harmful substances from the water, and then they should release this water in the nearby sea or river. But sometime it is being seen that it is just like that, left into the canals, the channels, or the river or the sea. And the same water, you can see here in the next picture, goes and get collected, and this spoils the soil. Again, what happens is, because you know that factories and industries, they use different amount and different substances, element different elements which are hazardous, which are not good, which are chemically toxic, chemically poisonous. So the same substance, when it is thrown out, it gets mixes with the soil, again disturbing the composition of the soil, and then contaminating and polluting the soil. The next effect is mixing of radioactive elements in the soil. Okay, now what happens when these kind of radioactive element is mixed in the soil? First of all, radioactive pollution. You should know about what is radioactive pollution. Radioactive substances are substances which are useful. Some of the time they are useful. For example, radioactive substances are having a use, like when you go for x-rays, for the other kind of they are penetrating rays, photography, all these are using these kind of radioactive substances. But these substances, you should know that they have high penetrating power. You can see over here, alpha, beta and gamma, these three are the radioactive rays. Now these kind of radioactive rays are coming out of the radioactive substances. Now you can see alpha is having a penetrating power till here, beta will go furthermore, like alpha can penetrate some amount of plastic, beta can go through thick amount of glass, and then gamma can pass through. You see gamma have a lot greater penetrating power. Okay, so as they are penetrating these thick material, they can also penetrate our skin, and then you can get useful information when it is properly used. For example, when you go for your x-rays, for your any photography, okay, for any other these kind of machineries where you see what is happening inside the body. So this is because of these radioactive substances. But sometime when it is taken in a large amount, or when it is taken in a high, when the penetration power is very high, it causes some disturbance inside the constituent of our body. You must have heard of DNA. So this DNA also gets changes because of the penetration of these type of rays. Okay, so it is not very good to get exposed to these kind of rays very usually. That is why we say that x-ray, sonography, all these things also should be of limited use, because these rays which are there are not very good rays. Very good rays in terms of they are very powerful, so it should not go inside the body and should disturb the working of the body. So these radioactive pollution, you can read over here, radioactive contamination is the deposition of or presence of radioactive substances on soil, water and air. So it is also because of the factories, affluents, sewage water. Sometimes these substances go and mixes up with the soil. They emit harmful ionizing radiation such as alpha, beta and gamma rays. This contamination may affect a person, a place or animal or object. So affect a person means, as I told you, like it can affect the skin, it can affect the delicate internal organs within the body. Radioactive substances are used in nuclear power plant, industrial, medical and other scientific purposes. As I told you, it's useful, but it should be used in a particular and a proper and safe manner. Okay, so we are not going to go in the detail of cause, effect and control measures of this. My intention was to only show you what is the penetration power of these rays and how it can be harmful if it can harm to the delicate organs which are there inside the body. Okay, also due to these harmful substances enter sometimes the food chain. Now how, you must be wondering how it enters the food chain. Now here see, if suppose these harmful radioactive element gets mixes up with the soil, okay, from the soil the crop is grown. So if suppose the same element gets inside the crop then may it can also get inside the water, and then from there directly if we eat the crop it goes inside the human body. And you know that there are some diseases which might be very minor or very small in crops, in fruits, okay, but when it enters the human body it multiplies and the effects are larger than the effects which are seen in water or crop or any other thing when it is being spoiled. So it is of utmost important that these radioactive pollution, if it is let out from the factories or from the industries, should be properly treated and then only goes and mixes with the soil or air or water. The next effect of soil pollution is leaching of toxic substances. Now, naturally, when the soil is polluted, okay, see here, spoils quality of groundwater. Now, see this picture. You have some plant over here, tree is there. Now, you know when rain comes, you must be seeing that when the rain comes, the water do not get collected over the land. After some time, the water vanishes. Where does the water go? It doesn't go anywhere, but it percolates inside the layer of the soil over here, and then uh, inside the layer of these soil, inside the layer of these land, beneath that you have a groundwater level. So here the groundwater gets collected, and the same groundwater, when the rainy season gets over, in the summer season the same groundwater is available for us for use when we take it from the borewell or so. So what happens is when the soil is getting polluted itself, when the soil is getting mixed up with all these harmful substances and elements, these substances sometimes leaches inside. What do you mean by leaching? Going inside and getting mixes up where? With the groundwater level. And the same groundwater level then we take it up in the summer season, in later season, for our use. And so the water also gets polluted because of the soil. Then the groundwater gets polluted, and in some areas the same groundwater sometimes is also used for drinking purpose. So leaching of toxic and poisonous substances, and when these kind of leaching of the toxic substances take place, you can see how the fruits and all which are growing over there might get some diseases, fruit diseases, crop diseases like this. Okay, again, if to prevent this, insecticide, pesticides are sprayed. That also sometime when it gets and goes and mixes up with the soil, the fertility is withdrawn. Now next, let us come to the third topic of this session, that is relationship of soil pollution with air and water pollution. Now you can see the three major pollution: air pollution, water pollution, and here soil pollution. Okay, so if wet waste is dumped at wrong places instead of composting, okay, or landfilling, pathogen grow upon it, which are then mixed with water causing water pollution. Then if insecticide, chemical fertilizers, weedicides are used in agriculture, which causes soil pollution, excessively sprayed insecticide and weedicide are mixed with the air causing air pollution also. Similarly, excessive use of chemical fertilizers causes water pollution. So all of them are interconnected. Chemical fertilizer sprayed in the soil goes up in the air and pollutes the air. Okay, from the air, when rain comes down and get mixes up with the water also get polluted. If it leaches and the same water get and mixes up with the soil get polluted. So all three, if you go to see, are interconnected with one another. Soil pollution occurs due to mixing of human waste, birds and animal waste. This releases various stinking gases, causes air pollution. Some waste may cause water pollution if mixed with water. So all three pollution interconnection you can see over here. Harmful gases mixing up with the air, coming with the rain, getting mixed up with the water then comes and get mixed up with the composition of the soil, contaminates the soil and pollutes the soil. Again from here it goes to the air, spoils the air. So it is continued, the cycle continues. So all of them are interlinked to one another. So if we want to control one, we have to control all the three together. Okay, and to control this pollution, We can take small steps as an individual, but on a larger purpose. Okay, till something is made mandatory, till something is made lawful, people do not abide to those laws and those precautions, and hence Prevention and Control Board have taken these three laws. They have enacted these three laws: Water Pollution and Prevention Act in 1974, then Air Pollution and Prevention Act was enacted in 1981, Environmental Protection Act in 1986. So all these laws were made so that people also get aware about what are the pollution, what are the causes, what are the effect, how directly, indirectly it is harming the human life and the living organism which are sustaining on the earth. Then you can see over here there is continuous checking, there is continuous inspection from the Central Pollution Control Board of each country. The work of these board, the work of these department is to go on places and check the water quality, check the air quality, and check the soil quality of particular region, and then to come with a investigation result that which area is having maximum pollution, why is the pollution happening, is there a factory nearby which is leaving some waste, or what are the different things that are mixing up with the soil or water that is polluting it. So continuously these departments are checking, and then they are working for the remedy for these pollution. You can see over here the pictures. Here you can see some of the people taking water sample, collecting the water sample. They collect the water sample, and then in the laboratory they test the water sample. How do they test the water sample? They test whether what percentage of oxygen is still there in the water. So is the water still fresh for use, or the people should not use the water? If suppose they do not meet the required amount of oxygen, if it is not there in that water, then they make aware the people of these area not to drink the water from this stream or from this river. Similarly, soil, if suppose some vegetation or agricultural problem is there, then the soil is being tested, the composition of the soil is being tested, and then which composition is more, whether salt content is more in the soil, whether some element, radioactive elements are there in the soil. So they come to know with these departments, and then the proper measure and control and care is being taken to control air, water and soil pollution by the Central Pollution Control Board. Now individually how we can cooperate. Okay, what is the role of individual in prevention of all these three pollution, because just now we have seen all three are interlinked. So what we can do is develop respect for all forms of life. Okay, so don't think only about us. If we are not using soil, if we are not farmers, then what is our concern about the soil? No, only if the farmer will grow crops we'll eat. Then water, similarly water, groundwater level, everything. So you should first of all have a respect for all forms of life. Then plant trees wherever you can, and more importantly take care of them. Okay, you know that trees reduce air pollution. Reduce the use of wood and paper products wherever possible. Do not cut wood. Paper products means you are cutting the wood over there. You must understand that even the electricity that we are using, okay, most of the electricity in rural areas, if you go to see, is coming from water. You know that there are huge turbines, and from the waterfall hydroelectricity, the electricity is there in some villages. So actually the electricity, the bulb, the light that we are using is because of the use of water. Okay, so if we want to save water, we have to save electricity. So everything is interlinked with one another. So here also you can see, you must be thinking why we should reduce paper. We should reduce paper because paper is made of wood pulp, and wood pulp come from where? It come from the trees. And how the trees? Only when the jungles, when these forests are cut, the paper will be made. So you have to use it less, so that less and less forest trees are being cut. Do not buy furniture, doors, window frames made from tropical hardwood such as teak and mahogany. These are forest based. Again, reduce the use of fossil fuel by either walking up a short distances, using a carpool means sharing a bike or using public transport is the best. This reduces air pollution. Okay, though nowadays things are different, always the things and awareness and remedies and cooperation are different. It's according to the situation. Now if we go to see public transport may not be so safe because of social distancing, but then it keeps on changing. Now these are the individual role that you can help to reduce the amount of pollution around. Now this chapter, we are taking this chapter pollution as a formative chapter. It will be taken as a formative chapter. So for the formative, your assessment will be, you have to prepare yourself for question number 1, 2, 3, 4 and 7 from your textbook. You can see in your textbook page number 61, question number 1 is an objective question. Question number 2 again is an objective question. Third is match the column. Fourth is true or false. 5 is omitted, 6 is omitted, and then the 7th again is classification. So you have to prepare yourself for these questions. Okay, even if it is included in your first semester, your first unit test examination, only questions out of these questions which is being given will be asked. The second one you can see is a project making, that is prepare a slogan for controlling pollution and write nicely in your notebook. So you don't have to use any chart paper, or you don't have to, as you cannot go out nowadays, so you don't have to go out to buy anything. In your notebook itself you can take one page and you can write a nice slogan, decorate it nicely, and for that you can get marks. So this is your assignment, your assessment for this chapter. So this chapter pollution is over. Thank you for your precious time and attention.